Good morning and welcome to Wolverhampton Cricket Club for the BCEW end of season day, where the T20 Cup competition comes to an end with two semi-finals played this morning, followed by a lunch and then a final and a third place playoff this afternoon. It's a rather overcast day today. There's a fair amount of wind blowing the trees around at the far end of the ground, and teams have all arrived. Match officials have all arrived safely, and we've just had the toss for the two games, and we'll be getting underway shortly. Commentary this morning will come from the game on pitch one, which is going to be Somerset against Sussex. We'll try and keep you up to date if I can with what's happening on pitch two, where Metro are playing Northants Steelbacks. And toss has taken place. Sussex are all gathered out in the middle of the square at the moment with the umpires for the game, and we also have the photographer. BCEW's photographer is also here out on the boundary. Ready to get some action photographs, and welcome to whoever has joined the stream. So good to have you along. I will remind people during the day, but if you are on the stream and you'd like to say hello, I'll try and give a hello to other people who are here. So we're up to two on the stream as Sussex set themselves up on the field, ready for the start of play, which may even be a few minutes earlier than scheduled. No bad thing. This is the 15th time that this competition has been played now at its established home of Wolverhampton Cricket Club, which is also the home of the Staffordshire Wolves, who play in the BCEW Midlands development competition. At the moment, it's Somerset skipper Ed Hossell and Rob Crisp, high partial, walking out to the middle to get this game underway. We're going to start bowling with Dave Daniels from the pavilion end here, where Fiona Shone is the umpire. Neil Robson is the umpire at square leg. Sussex have got themselves up with set up fielders close in. Mark Oliphant and Tiny Morris are the B1 fielders close in on the leg side. Mark Oliphant is square. Tiny is just a little bit further round. Dave Daniels is the one totally blind fielder on the offside at short cover. It's going to be Ed Hossell to take strike for the first ball. He's looking around the field, watching to see where everyone is. It's Callum Weir is at backward square. Dan Field is at mid wicket. Alex Towser is at mid on. And the first ball is being bowled by Phil Daniels. It's a long way outside the off stump, signalled wide by Fiona, and we're underway with today's game. And Phil in again, straighter played out, deep point fielded by Mark Bond, who throws it in, and they've taken one run. So accounts open with an extra and then a single to Ed. So Somerset 2 off the first ball, as it were. Although we've had 2 deliveries, it's only 1 ball been. That's one legal ball that's been delivered. So Rob Crisp now crouching down over his bat, looking up to bowler asks if he's ready. He says yes. Ball comes through outside off stump. A little bit of a fumble by the keeper, but there's no run. Any listening who aren't familiar with blind cricket, there are a few variations for the game to make it possible for those who can't see to play. So the bowler has to ask the batter if they're ready. Batter says ready, and then the bowler says play on release of ball. And that's happened again. And very similar stroke to Ed Hossell's there, perhaps a little bit more lofted, reached Mark Bond on 1 bounce. And again, they come through for a single. Quickly round as Ed swings his arms, waiting, and they've changed the field. They brought Mark Oliphant across onto the offside, and that was a fantastic change because again Ed looked to play it out into the covers, and it went straight to Mark, bounced back, and so that's a dot. And again, this is played down on the onside, straight to Alex Towers in his fielding position. Just tosses it underarm back to the bowler. There's no run, and we have got the bowler back. Coming in, this one's a little bit leg side and signalled wide by the umpire. Field kind of creep in as the bowler bowls and then get themselves back out. This time Ed does get it away on the offside, but straight this time to mid-off. Marcus Kipling fields, and we've reached the end of the first over, and the score is, if I just get myself sorted out, 4 without loss from the first over. Meanwhile, on the other pitch, it's Metro who've started, and they got 10 off their first over, and it's going to be Alex Towers opening from the other end as Rob uses his feet to mark his guard, taps the bat down hard on the ground. Field setup is remaining as it was for the last over, so just tiny now on the leg side at that very short mid wicket, and Mark Oliphant and Dave Daniels on the off side. Another fielder kind of close in behind them at point. This outside off stump, and through to Simon Ledwith, who's keeping for a dot ball from Alex Towers. It's Phil Daniels who's in at short point. This one is lofted over Phil Daniels, comes round towards square. Mark Bond throws in. They've had to hurry back, but they've made it back for 2. Was lofted a long way into the air, fairly much towards Matt Greenhoff, but his vision's quite low, and so Mark Bond ran round from his fielding position at cover to pick up the balls. It sort of dribbled towards third man a little. This one is driven out to mid-off by Rob Crisp. Big chase for the fielder to grab that, and they're back for 2. Yeah, that was Marcus Kipling ran across from his position at mid-on to field at mid-off. There's no mid-off there's no mid-off fielder. Mark Bond is in the covers, and then it's nobody until you get round to Marcus Kipling at mid-on, as this ball comes just a little wide down on the leg side for dot ball. So two balls left in the second over. And the first one of them is being bowled now, played out just wide of the bowler. He fields off his own bowling at mid-off, and Rob Crisp is through safely for a single. So Ed Hossel to face the last ball of the over. And the score is 9 without loss at the moment. So Ed crouches. Alex comes in, right arm over the wicket. One bounce through to the keeper. And that is the end of the over. And that's 9 without loss. Rob Crisp is on 6. Ed Hossel is on 1. The batters come together in the middle for a little bit of a conversation. Phil Daniels walks down towards the stumps at this pavilion end. Ball in hand. So fielding side around quickly. They're all ready for the next over. The batters are now just done a fist pump, and Rob Crisp is walking down to that far end to take strike. Fielding is set up as for the last over. So mid on and mid off. And that's very, very wide and high. Simon does well to gather that in. It's signalled as a no ball. Must have slipped out of the hand. I think it went very, very high. And so the umpire has just signalled a free hit from the no ball. All no balls in blind cricket T20 result in a free hit. Rob tries some sort of scoop. It just bobbles out towards short fine leg. Callum Weir comes in and fields. And so not too much damage from the free hit, just a single. Brings Ed Hossel back onto strike. Phil comes in. 2 bounces. Ed lofts it high. It's just evaded the fielder at backward point and gone over the boundary for the first four of the innings. It was in the air. It was in the air a long time. The fielder, Matt Greenhoff, at that point was interested, but couldn't get there. With that boundary, Somerset move on to 15. Ball is now back with the bowler. Fielders crouch, ready for the delivery. And this one is rather a better shot from Ed. Crunched, hit well, not lofted and loopy and possibly offering a catch, but straight at Mark Bond at cover. So it's just the 1 run. And it's Phil Daniels in again. Rob Crisp, outside edge, down towards third man. Simon Ledwith is after it, catches it before Matt Greenhoff can come across. But fantastic running because they get back for 2. Didn't really look as if there was necessarily 2 on, but Rob Crisp charged back down to get 2 and to stay on strike. And just now giving himself a breather before crouching down, ready to face the next ball, which he plays out to point, fielded by Matt Greenhoff for a single. Brings Ed onto strike for the last ball of the over. It's It is fairly blustery out there. You can see the players' shirts blowing in the wind. The trees are also blowing a fair amount. Ed plays this back just on the offside, down the pitch, fielded by the bowler to to end the third over, and it's 19 without loss from 3. As again the batters come together for a chat and a fist pump, and Alex Towers, ball in his right hand, walks down to the far end where Neil Robson is umpiring, ready to start the 4th over. As Roger Barker just walks past the outside veranda here, where the hardy spectators are all sitting outside to watch the game, and your commentator is hiding inside where there's plentiful power, and that's pretty high as well, but high partial. So no, it has been signalled as a no ball. Yeah, I was going to say that was above Rob's waist. He sort of fumbled it into the leg side, and Tony Morris might have thought that a one bounce catch would be possible. Rob perhaps seems to have injured his hand playing that. His right glove's come off. Dan Field's come in to see how he is. Fiona Shone is coming in to see how he is. Looks as if perhaps he's okay. He had the glove off. He's put the glove on. It didn't seem to be too much discomfort in putting it back on. Ed has also kind of come down to have a word with him, and is signalling something. I'm not quite sure what, but anyway, Ed's now walking back down to the far end of the pitch, and I think we are ready for what I take it is a free hit ball. Sorry, I didn't have my eyes on the umpire, but it should be a free hit from any no ball. There's the free hit signal. So free hit, second free hit for Rob. Let's see what he does with this one from Alex. He plays it away backward of square. Couple of bounces into the safe arms of Callum Weir, the young Sussex high partial fielder, who's one of their gun fielders, and it's just one. So Ed now comes back onto strike. He's looking round to see who's in the field, and doesn't get very much of that. It just dribbles out to Tiny's feet on the onside, and there's no run. Ball quickly back with Alex Towers, who kind of crouches, feet wide apart, sort of unusual stance as he gets ready for bowling. This again is lofted into the offside. And it's gone all the way to the boundary through wide mid off, and a good round of applause from the spectators in front of me, who I think perhaps are the well, I don't know. Maybe they're the Somerset crowd. They're certainly applauding that shot from Ed very enthusiastically. He's now moved on to 10 from 10. Rob is 11 from 13. And I guess that's sort of normal service resumed, in that you would expect Ed to have a higher strike rate than Rob. I think Alex Towers is changing to come round the wicket, is he? He is. He's round the wicket this time. Ed plays it out into the offside. Square. Phil Daniels sort of ambles towards the ball, but Simon Ledwith sprints out from behind the stumps to gather it in and return it to the bowler, who's now in again. Ed plays that to mid-on and gets down safely for a single as Marcus Kipling fields. That brings us to the last ball of this over. So Alex Towers about to complete his second over. Phil Daniels has bowled 2 from this end. For those of you who don't know this game, at some point we will need to bring on a totally blind bowler. They have to bowl 3 in 10, so can't keep the openers on for too long. No bowler can bowl more than 4 in this game either. And big leave from Rob there on the last ball. So Alex has now completed his 2 overs for 12. Phil Daniels' 2 overs have cost 14. Both batters are on 11. And it is time for a change of bowler. And I wouldn't have thought it was that wet, but maybe the grass is damp because Mark Bond has just been drying the ball with the red towel that he's got tucked in to the back of his trousers. So it almost looks as if he's got a tail when he's out in the field. And Dave Daniels is having a bowl, so he's making sure that he knows where he is positioned by holding the top of the stumps. So in blind cricket, the stumps are slightly higher than a normal set of stumps. It means that totally blind batters and bowlers find it just a little bit easier to be able to reach the top of the stumps and set themselves up to position themselves for whichever discipline they're engaged in. At the moment, Dave has got his left arm aloft, pointing down the pitch to kind of guide the delivery. Bowls, and Ed plays this deep mid-wicket. Alex Towers downfield have a race for the ball. Downfield wins, and they've scored 2. So Ed split the field there, but not quite enough on that one to reach the boundary. Dave gets the ball, releases the ball low, gets a nice low slingy trajectory with the ball, so not high and loopy. Again, this is low, and Ed reaches for that, tries to play it into the offside, misses, fielded by Simon, and Marcus Kipling comes in to gather the ball and hand it to Dave. Obviously difficult to make sure you can get the ball back to totally blind. So this is lofted, square leg. It's sprinting back hard to make sure he gets 2 from that as Callum Weir fields near the boundary, throws the ball in, but Ed had run those hard, so 2 runs scored. So Tiny on the leg side, Mark Oliphant on the off, with Dave Daniels bowling just the 2 totally blind fielders when there's a totally blind bowler. This is out to extra cover. Mark Bond just moves across to his right to field from cover, throws the ball in to Marcus Kipling, who will return it to Dave Daniels. And that brings Rob to face his first ball from Dave. It's been a tidy over so far from Dave. 5 from the first 4 balls. Again, that left arm pointing to help him with direction, but this time not quite straight enough, wide, outside off, and the same team making sure that the ball comes back to him. He just bowls from a sort of standing position, so it doesn't take long to set up, but that is very wide on the leg side. Can't have been far away from hitting Tiny Morris. So there we are, curse of the commentator. I said it had been a tidy over for the 4 balls to Ed Hossel, and then we get a couple of wayward ones as I say that, and as Rob Crisp comes on to strike. This one is straight though, and is hit very straight. Wouldn't have been a run there. It was within a yard or so of the stumps, but Dave not able to stop it, so it came past. Alex Towers scampered across to field from his mid-on position, and 1 run has been scored. So Ed to face the last ball of the over. As Dave lofts his arm, and this is struck slightly more firmly towards the mid-wicket boundary. There is a chase by Alex Towers. He can't gather it in. For some reason, Danfield wasn't racing him. Perhaps Dan had already thought that he wouldn't be able to haul that one in, and he signals boundary 4 to the umpire, who then relays that on to the scorer. We have Seb Egan is scoring this game live for you on Play Cricket, assisted by Steve Field, who is the regular Sussex scorer and has been ever since Sussex started playing visually impaired cricket. And it's a double bowling change because we've got a second totally blind bowler on from the far end. So Ian Morris is on to bowl from the far end after that 1 over from Dave that went for 12. And it's Rob Crisp on strike, looking round, trying to see where all the fielders are. Callum Weir perhaps gone slightly finer at fine leg. Danfield really deep square rather than mid wicket. So there's a little bit of a gap on the leg side if you can find it. It's slightly out. Well, yes, a lot leggy. Rob did try and chase it round and give it a whack. Very fine. Fell over, ended up down on his knees. Simon Ledwith came across and fielded. So no opportunity for an extra run, just the wide. Again, this is also wide on the leg side. This time, Rob just steps inside, ignores the ball, allows it to go through, and Simon to gather. And Rob now crouches, lifts his bat, the ball comes in. Again, it's wide on the leg side, and he steps inside it and ignores it. So he chased the first one, and then the next two, he has he's just stepped inside and ignored them. This one, he swings and a huge leap from downfield. It wasn't far away from him, but just far enough away from him for there to be no catch possible. And it's a boundary 4 to Rob. That's his first boundary. Ed scored 3 boundaries. That's Rob's first boundary. So the ball is fetched back from where it had headed out towards the scoreboard. So Somerset approaching 50 in the 6 over. This is another strong shot. This time they were all the way along the 4 from Rob, and pretty much straight down to where Callum Weir is fielding at fine leg for a single. And yeah, 46 is now the Sussex score as Ed Hossell faces his first ball from Ian Morris. And he looks for that big gap on the leg side between Danfield and Marcus Kipling and finds the boundary. So that's 50 up for Sussex in the 6 over. Yeah, huge gap there between Danfield, who, as I say, has moved round to square leg, and Marcus Kipling, who's fielding at mid-on. So fielders jog back, so that gap is still there. I guess might be plugged by Mark Oliphant if the ball was struck straight at him, fielding in close. But if it gets past him, there is that huge gap on the boundary as another wide is delivered. But the ball already back with the bowler for the next delivery. And again, slingy and wide down the leg side. So Ian Morris will be just looking to try and improve his control of direction a little. getting a good over. As this one looks offside, so adjustment, but unfortunately adjustment just a little bit too far from Ian. Ian is a fantastic servant of Sussex, as Ed again lifts a nice drive into that wide mid-off position. The fielder did try and get across and get hands on it, Alex Towers, but couldn't do so, and the ball goes away to the boundary for another 4 to Ed. So that's now 5 boundaries to Ed. So we've got a couple of balls left in this over, and wide down the leg side. Yep. So Ian, fantastic servant of Sussex. He's got 133 wickets in his career, 84 of them for Sussex. As this one, Ed hits powerfully along the ground, but almost straight to Danfield at square leg, who throws in strongly to the bowler's end, where there are several people backing up Ian, and 1 run has been scored, and Rob Crisp on strike for the last ball. Yes, and Ian's taken 7 wickets for Sussex this season, with a best of 3 for 38. So unfortunately, this not the sort of over that he'd like to be delivering, as there's another leg side wide, and I would have, well, maybe he's trying to adjust for the wind and adjusting too much, because if looking at the way the wind's blowing, and there could be a run out here as it's played to Marcus Kipling. He had a shot at the stumps and missed. Mark Bond tied it up. They did take 1, but that was a very risky single, because a direct hit at the stumps there, and there would have been a run out. But there wasn't. So Somerset probably reasonably happy so far. They've got 61 without loss from 6, as Dave Daniels prepares to bowl his second over from this pavilion end. Dave Daniels hasn't been playing quite as long for Sussex as Tiny, but he is a very, very good bowler. He's taken 66 wickets for Sussex, and he's taken 11 of those this season, with best of 2 for 44 in 2024. And his arm is now aloft, ready to bowl, as the BCEW photographer moves in front of us to take a kind of action shot for a ball that's just nurdled gently into the onside, short of all the fielders, into a kind of huge mid-wicket gap behind Tiny Morris. And as it takes a while for anybody to get in and field, in the end it was Dan Field who collected the ball. They were able to take 2, although the ball hadn't really gone very far at all. Very scuffed shot from Rob. Dave bowls, and he lofts this one towards Alex Towers. It spins away from him a little at mid-on. He catches it on the first bounce, throws the ball in to Marcus Kipling, who hands it to Dave Daniels, and Rob Crisp adds 1 to his score. Ed now, bat resting on his shoulders, has a look round the field, crouches into his batting stance, and defends this down. It just evades Mark Oliphant and bobbles down the pitch on the offside. Simon Ledwith chases down from behind the stumps to pick up and return to the bowler. Dave, arm aloft, ready to bowl. And another good delivery, played straight back down the pitch to Dave. Assisted a little by Marcus Kipling to field off his own bowling, and two dots in a row. So let's see if he can join them up. Ball comes down, and no, he can't, because good pace on that, but wide on the leg side, gathered in by Simon Ledwith. Swing of the bat from Ed to prepare himself. Maybe the breeze has dropped a little, and he drops on one knee, sweeps that away, backward a square to Callum Weir, who throws it in pretty straight at the stumps. It hits Rob Crisp, who run down and was just standing there ready. So then gathered in and by the fielding side and sent back to the bowler. Yeah, breeze is sort of drifting in and out. The cloud cover, if anything, has reduced a little. Oh, Marcus Kipling ran in to try and field that lofted off drive, and perhaps should have just stayed where he was, because then he might have caught it. He ran in and the ball then went over his head, and they went through for 1. So at the end of 7 overs, the score is 67 without loss. Dave Daniels has bowled his 2 overs for 18 with no extras. So that's a very tidy spell from a totally blind bowler. And let's hope that Ian Morris turns in a much better over with his second one than he managed with his first. The clouds lifted a little here this morning. Now we can definitely see a little bit of pale blue in the sky between the clouds. There is definitely still a breeze. I think it may be a little less than it was at the beginning of the game. The trees at the far end of the ground are moving around, but players' shirts don't seem to be ruffling quite as much as Rob scuffs one to square leg. Phil Daniels moves across to field. Phil nursing an injury, which I think is one of the reasons why he's fielding fairly close in. He definitely looked slightly awkward running across to gather that. As Ed now approaches a nice low ball from Tiny, but Ed, sorry, yes, Ed was able to just kind of loft it over the close in field and find that, as I say, that big gap at Cow Corner that Sussex have left. It was good delivery, good nice low delivery, not high and loopy, but Ed still managed to get underneath it enough to loft it over the infield and through for that boundary 4. Gathered in because on that side of the pitch there's a lot of space here. It's a big square at Wolverhampton Cricket Club, and the VI game, not all of it's needed. That is lofted much higher, pretty much the same direction. Marcus Kipling's after it again. It doesn't go quite as far over the boundary, I don't think, so it should be a little easier to bring in, but another boundary. And Ed has now moved on to 38, which is exactly half of the Somerset total score. So Ian bowls, and again lofted. This time it's nearer to downfield. Is he going to get there? No, he isn't. He's signalled 6. The umpire is signalling 4. Yeah, So the umpire at square leg, the umpire's just agreeing, I think, that there's 2 to come, and then coming together. Maybe is this a discussion about whether this is a boundary or a maximum? I'm not sure. Anyway, umpires going back to their positions, and no change. So the fielder very generously signalled a 6. The umpires have signalled 4, and yeah, I'm all good as a wide comes in from Ian, and ball goes back to him. And I'm just being told that there's some problems with the electronic scoreboard on the far side of the ground, so people who are here may not know what the score is, but I have the score live on Play Cricket as a read only, so I should have the score as the scorer has it. And you've missed a kind of couple of wides while the match referee was just having a word with me. And Ed now plays a much safer shot to square leg all the way along the floor. Dan jogs in, Fields throws it back, two-handed to the wicketkeeper, and ball comes back to Ian Morris with 1 left in the over. 1 left in the 8th over. Which Rob does chase around leg side, gets a fair amount on it, keeps nice and low, goes pretty close, pretty straight, direct to Callum Weir, who throws in, and Simon gathers the ball and sprints down to the other end with it, ready for the next over. I think even before the umpires have called over. Dave Daniels is ready to bowl. I think he's just trying to find the stumps. Fiona's in to help him do that. Mark Bond is there with his trusty towel, giving the ball a good dry and maybe even a little bit of a clean before giving it to Dave for his 3rd over. So what that means is Sussex are now well ahead of their allocation of total overs. They've bowled 4 in 8. They're about to bowl a 5th. They need to bowl a total of 6 in the 20 overs, 3 in every 10. So they could have gone back to some partial bowlers, but continuing with Dave, and why not 2 overs for 18 is a pretty good return. And there's a very stylish bat high leave played by Rob to that one outside off stump to start this over with a wide. And very pleased to see that we've gone up to 6 people on the stream. As I say, do, if you know how the technology works, do message in and let us know who you are and where you're from. Can pass that across to anybody else who's listening as Rob gets one off his ankles round to Callum Weir at fine leg for a single. And Dave lifts his hand up. Fiona, he put his helmet down on the base of the stumps, but the umpire's now holding it in their hand, and that's a great delivery. Beats Ed outside off stump and goes through to the keeper. Fantastic delivery. Well bowled, Dave Daniels. And quickly ready again for his next delivery as Ed crouches ready to receive. And I think the wind is dropping a little as Ed drives to Marcus Kipling at mid-off. Phil Daniels has to kind of jog across to gather the ball in as the shy in the stumps misses. Ed might have been in trouble there with a direct hit, but missed, and he was running pretty fast to give him his due. So Bob Crisp on strike now, and just looking round, checking those fielders on the leg side, as he's then just beaten by one that's a little wide on the leg side, but not wide enough to trouble the umpires. So, yeah, just it's often the case that strong fielders will go where Sussex have gotten. So their skipper Danfield is at square leg, Callum Weir's at fine leg, and then perhaps their other strong fielder is Mark Bond out in the covers as Rob works this round the corner down to fine leg to Callum for a single, and we're quickly through to the last ball of the 9th over as the run rate is exactly 10, so the computer says, but they need a couple off this ball to keep it as that. It's played out to Matt Greenough at point, straight to Matt Greenough at point. Ed had run hard down to this end. He paused, he looked. Mark Greenough had the ball in his hand, and he decided that it wasn't worth taking a risk, and that was absolutely the right decision to take. I don't think he'd have got back. Don't think he'd have had any chance of getting back. Mark Oliphant just taking his helmet off for a little bit of a breather between overs at this point as people set themselves up, and with all three totally blind fielders down this end, there must be a change of bowling, and indeed there is. It's Marcus Kipling coming on from the far end for Sussex. Marcus Kipling is second best bowler for Sussex this season in terms of performance. He's taken 11 wickets with a best of 4 for 15. So pretty good guy to have coming on as a change to bowl the 10th over. After which I think we will probably have a break for drinks. Comes in, one bounce outside line of the off stump, too far outside the line of the off stump for the umpire, who signals that as wide. Marcus in, Ed scuffs that absolutely nowhere. It dribbles under Tiny's feet, or between Tiny's feet, which are planted wide apart. He reaches down and gathers the ball in, which was barely moving by the time it reached him. Back to the bowler. This one, well, little leg side. Umpire had a look, tucked his head over, decided that it was okay. It's Neil Robson, the one of the main appointers for BCEW umpires down at that end of the ground, umpiring today. Ed plays this out square on the offside. Doesn't go very far. Simon Ledwith very quickly across to gather and make sure there's no run. Simon in his distinctive white and orange footwear. What did that come off? There was a kind of bobble and a juggle and a juggle and a juggle from Mark Oliphant, and so I think that certainly may well have been a possible one bounce catch, as it just came off Ed, although it may have been off body. I can't see well enough from here. And now it's lofted and drops, just evading Mark Bond. So if it was a possible chance to ball before, that was definitely a chance. That ball, so lofted to squarish cover. Mark Bond's got there but couldn't quite get his hands under the ball as it was dipping on him, and Ed's got himself off strike, having been it seems tested quite well by Marcus Kipling. This is a very good 10th over. A little leg side this time to Rob Crisp, though. Round the corner to Callum Weir. He gets his head down and wonders about a second, but Callum's quickly to the ball and throws in. So fantastic over there from Marcus. conceding just 3, including the wide that started the over. So it's 92 without loss for Somerset, as the players do take a drink. Somerset bench running on with drinks for the batters, and match referee and assistant Adam White from Somerset, who's also the BCEW publicity officer, taking a couple of jugs of squash and a collection of cups out for the Sussex team in the middle. This is the time where there's a number of you listening, and I'm just so tempted to make sure this is all working by saying testing 1 2 3. I knew I wouldn't be able to resist that, because 1 2 3 or 123 be a significant number when Sussex come out to bat. If you're familiar with blind cricket, as some of you 11 maybe, I'm sure you will know that 123 is Mark Bond's England average. You may be less aware of the fact that 123 is the number of runs that Simon Ledwith has scored since last being out in this competition. So last year he was out in the semi-final and then scored 23 not out, as Sussex just needed 72 to win last year against Lancashire Lions. And then this season, on the way to this final, Sussex in the first round played Kent Spitfires, scored 183 for 2 batting first, and Simon contributed 60 not out, as they won by 75 runs. And then in the quarter-final they faced the Berkshire Stags. They won by 9 wickets. They just needed to score just under 100, and Simon got 40 not out in that game. So 100 runs without being dismissed this year, and 23 from last year's final means that he has 123 runs since last being dismissed in this competition. As the drinks team walk back towards the pavilion, and I take it all the players have had sufficient, as jugs are not quite empty, coming back and already set up for the first bowler to complete their allocation of 4 overs, as Dave Daniels has ball in hand for his 4th over. Rob Crisps on strike. Gives the ground a big pat with his bat, then straightens into his stance, beaten outside the off stump with one that the umpire decides is too wide to be legal. So that's the first. That is the first. That's not the first extra given away by Dave Daniels. He has bowled a few. He has bowled a few wides, but he has bowled a very good spell so far. This one just a little leg side, tucked round the corner. Callum Weir sprints in and fields, doesn't quite pick the ball up cleanly, but I don't think they were ever thinking that there was more than one there, so they've taken the 1 run. Marcus Kipling runs back to give the ball to Dave, who lines himself up, and Ed steps back and gets this little squarer. It was heading towards downfield, who was gently jogging in from square leg, but Callum Weir, much more eager, ran in from his fine leg position to field as the ball just about reached the square leg umpire, and it's another single. Rob again checking that leg side field, and ball comes in, beats him down the leg side and goes straight through to the wicketkeeper. So it's Matt Greenhoff at point, Mark Bond at cover, and Marcus Kipling at mid-off are the fielders on the off-side, along with Mark Oliphant in at short cover. As this is just prodded over that short cover by Rob Little Aerial, but I think quite safe. Drops well short of Mark Bond, who runs into field. Drops back to his position with a little round of applause for team performance, or whatever. I'm not quite sure. The wind just seems to be gusting a little more again now. The trees at that end being quite blustery. The players' shirts definitely showing a degree of bluster, as that I think did that beat everyone? No, Ed must have got a little edge on that to take it past the keeper. Went a long way down towards the very, very fine third man boundary. Was fielded by Callum Weir running across from fine leg, and they've scored 2. And we've reached the last ball of the 11th over. They're in, and Ed just, yes, deliberately plays that to square third man, and sets off very quickly, sprints off to make sure he gets 2, which brings his 50. He's got 51. Somerset have scored 100 without loss from 11 overs. And that's Dave Daniels finished for the day, 4 overs for 31 runs. It may well be that Ian Morris has finished for the day with 2 overs as well. And it'll perhaps be the partials who bowl the remaining 9 overs. And it's Marcus Kipling who's got ball in his hand down at that far end next to Neil Robson, as Rob asks for a new guard. Perhaps he's forgotten his guard during the drinks break. So scrapes it out with his feet, taps it down with the bat, now crouches into his stance as Marcus comes in, leg side, very fine, and Callum Weir is quite wide set at the moment, so that beat him to the boundary. They have got Phil Daniels at a very short fine leg as well, but it was hit firmly, easily went past him. So with Marcus bowling, there are actually big gaps down the field. There's on the offside, Mark Bond at cover is furthest away. Now that's definitely very wide down the leg side. Simon had to take 2 or 3 steps to his left to be able to grab hold of that one. And again, another ball through to Simon, and on the other pitch, Metro have reached 100 for 1 from 12 with Matt Dean on 68. As Rob can only it's a good low delivery to him from Callum. He could only sort of scuff it into the leg side, fielded by the bowler off his own bowling, and no run. Halfway through this over, I think too many bounces. So given us a no ball, which means there will be a free hit. Little discussion between the batters, perhaps, about what we're going to do with the free hit. So Callum comes in now, and Rob plays it away. It's not quite as fine as he got it the time before. Callum is quickly across to get it. Rob is confident that he can get back for two and does. Ed wasn't kind of quite so sure. He hesitated before running back to the far end, but Rob had judged that. Well. Callum had slid and had to stand and throw, and I think Rob realised he had time to get back for a second. That's well pitched up delivery, which is possible against Rob. Rob is a high partial, so he's one of the few batters where the ball need not bounce before the popping crease, whereas this one does. It's hit back very straight mid-on. Alex Towers is after it. Is he going to catch it? No, he isn't. It's a boundary 4 to end the over. So after 12, Somerset 112 without loss. Yes, I don't know who Z on D is, but I've just got the camera set up. It's just, it's just me. If there are people in the way, I apologise. Hopefully, you should be able to get some view of what's going on. This stream, though, is set up primarily so that you can follow on audio. So audio is the priority, and we've just had a message. Let's go Somerset as Somerset bring on Mark Bond for an over, and Mark has been a bit of a revelation with bowling this season. He's taken 9 wickets with his often quite loopy off spin. Pretty successful. Best of 3 for 22. Perhaps best not to perhaps best not to big him up too much, because first ball is then a wide. The head may have moved out of the way, but it's nothing to do with me. And this is also wide. Yeah, that's gone behind Dave Daniels, who's fielding on the offside. So a towel comes out. It must be that perhaps there's a fair amount of dew on the ground or something. I mean, I can't. It's definitely not raining. It's maybe just clouded over a little more. I mean, the forecast here, as for much of the UK today, is that there may be thunderstorms. We certainly haven't had one yet. Not quite as wide, but still, I think called early as a danger wide by Fiona. So it's important in the visually impaired game that well, in any form of cricket, nobody wants to get hit with a cricket bat. So wides will be called early to make sure that batter doesn't try and kind of reach a ball that's too close to a fielder. As Ed drives this to mid-off, fielded by Alex Towers, and so it's Rob now to face Mark Bond. And loopy bouncing, and that allowed Rob to get it round very fine. Callum Weir is not fielding at fine leg. He's been moved to cover points with Mark Bond's bowling. Jogs in to kind of have a word with him to think about perhaps where the fielders want to be. There is Phil Daniels at short fine leg, but not as mobile as he would often be downfield at square leg. Again, this is out into the leg side, but much squarer, almost straight to Dan, who takes 3 or 4 steps in off his fielding position at the boundary, gathers the ball and throws it in, and there's 1 run scored. So we're halfway through the 13th. As Ed, both Somerset batters in their red Somerset caps. A huge swing at that one from Ed, and beaten for pace, maybe. A ball, Mark doesn't bowl very quickly, and so sort of undone by a ball that was almost kind of too slow. He thought he'd be able to give it a great whack, and then he couldn't. And this time, I don't think he intended to do that, because he was trying to get it down to fine leg, and he's only managed to get it to third man, where it's fielded by Matt Greenhoff, who throws it in, but not before they got through for 2 runs. As we come towards the end of the over. Mark Barnes, another loopy one. Again, up in the air, it's sort of gone nowhere. It's now dribbling down to fine leg. Phil Daniels has gathered. He hands the ball to Simon, who walks back and then throws the ball back, and everybody decides that is the end of the over. They've run through for 2, and so after 13, it's 125 without loss for Somerset. It's going to be Marcus Kipling, I think, to continue from the far end. He's got 2 left to bowl, and then the opening bowlers, Phil Daniels and Alex Towers, have also got 2 left each. So it may be that those overs are bowled, and there'll be 1 more perhaps from Mark Bond. Bob Crisps settles into his batting stance as the field set themselves, and Marcus Kipling off about 3 or 4 paces, just outside off stump, dragged across to mid-on, virtually straight to Alex Towers, and 1 run scored. Bowler just juggling the ball between their hands, and comes in now. Ed looked to be kind of attempting to play out into the offside, but in the end just played a very similar shot to the first one of the over, which went down to mid-on all the way along the floor for 1 run. This time it's lofted in that direction, so much better contact by Rob Crisp, and 2 or 3 bounces, and it's over the rope at that end of the ground for a boundary to Rob, and he's now just 1 short of 50. He's 49 from 41 deliveries with 5 boundaries. As Marcus comes in, and he catches up with 1, plays it round the corner to fine leg. This time it goes straight to Phil Daniels at short fine leg, and there's no run. Ball is back with the bowler, who crouches, straightens, comes in. Rob again onto that fielder at mid-on for a single, and that's his 50 then. So 50 for Rob Crisp from 43 deliveries. And one ball left in this 14th over. Marcus Kipling's 3rd. Ed gets it somewhere between the square leg and mid wicket. It's downfield who runs in and gets the ball, throws it in, single to end the over. 133 from 14 for Somerset. Marcus has bowled 3 overs for 23 so far, so it's a pretty tidy return as Mark Bond just gets that one over with Phil Daniels on to bowl again from this pavilion end. So opening bowler Phil Daniels coming on to bowl his third. Ed Hossel is on strike. And that's played out to mid-on, fielded by Marcus Kipling, and there's no run. In again, stylish shot from Ed out into the covers, fielded by Mark Bond, and they take a single. Meanwhile, in the other game, Metro now 119 for 2 off 14, so pretty much neck and neck time-wise, as Rob plays a on drive to Alex Towers and scores 1. Phil just waiting for Ed to be ready. He's off about 3 or 4 paces. He'd usually come in off a lot more, but he's nursing a bit of an injury as Ed defends that down into the offside. Phil fields off his own bowling. He's got 17 wickets for Sussex this season, with a best of 4 for 29. That's 17 out of his 48 wickets for Sussex in this season, as Ed drives that out to Mark Bond in the covers for a single. And we're nearly through to the end of Phil's third over. Rob Crisp facing, and nicks it down towards third man. Simon Ledwith is after it, slides near the boundary, throws it back in. Mark Bond's come in from cover to back up and receive that throw. They've scored 2, and that's the end of the over. The score is 138 without loss from 15. A little bit of a discussion at the far end as to, I thought maybe there might have been a discussion about perhaps who was going to bowl, but so Dan Field was there, Callum Weir was there, Mark Bond was there, but it is going to be, anyway, Marcus Kipling to bowl his fourth on the trot and complete his bowling spell for this morning's game. Maximum of 4 overs a bowler, which is why often extra kind of couple of bowls are used, because teams don't always want to bowl totally blind bowlers full allocation, as first ball is driven straight back to the bowler by Ed, and there's no run. This one he manages to loft a little more, sort of over the bowler's head. Alex Towers fields. Rob was alert to there being a second, ran down and completed it. He was halfway down the pitch running away from us before I think Ed thought of kind of coming back this way, but Ed also able to get safely home for 2. This time he does get hold of it much better over mid-on. I'm not quite sure that Alex Towers will catch that one. No, he won't. Ed has a look as he comes back for his second, and I think sees that it's already gone over the boundary, or hopefully the umpires were making sure that it had gone, and there was no need to continue running. 4 runs secured, and a gross 144 on the board for Somerset. high, no ball high, and a sort of tennis ball flat bat shot from Ed, who just managed to reach that and play it back to the bowler. But he's now got a free hit and launches it to square leg, one bounce to downfield. And he's keen now to get two and gets back. The ball was quickly with Simon, and Rob perhaps not quite as aware that time. Simon's throw down to the far end didn't manage to beat Rob though, so 2 runs completed and 2 balls left in the over. Here comes the first. Lofted wide, mid-off, and Callum Weir, who's been moved to field deep down there, not even he can catch that. And so one run scored. Yes, I think Callum has changed places with Alex Towers, who's come to fine leg. Anyway, Marcus Kipling to Ed. Ed plays this to mid wicket. Tanfield comes across, picks it up, 2 hands, throws it in. It almost evades Marcus Kipling on the throw in, but doesn't. So although they think about a second, there isn't a second there. It's just 1 run. It's 152 without loss from 16, and Marcus Kipling has finished his spell of 4 overs. That's 4 overs for 37. Some drinks just run on for the Somerset batters by Catherine Jelfs White and Rory Hossel, as Phil Daniels comes in to complete his bowling allocation. Top edged by Ed round the corner to kind of fine legs. Simon was a little interested in that, but wasn't able to get anywhere near a catch. He chases it down, is helped by Callum Weir to get the ball back to the stumps. The bowler went down to help tidy up, and this one though is a great ball. Ed can only just jab down on it, and it's a dot ball. And then Ed just pokes this round the corner to somewhere between short fine leg and short square leg. Simon grabs it, and has he done himself an injury? Seems to be just on his haunches. But walking back towards his position now, so hopefully he's okay. And good to continue as the ball comes back to the bowler. Rob again looking round, looking to see where those fielders are on the leg side in particular. Big swing outside off stump through to the keeper, and umpires just signalling that there's two to come. I think they must have been signalling, but that's a wide, so there'll be another delivery in this over. No, maybe they're signalling for 2 to come, 3 to come. Scorer seems to have 3 to come, but anyway. Rob plays that to square leg. Callum Weir comes into field. He's at he's just backward of square. Just forward of square is downfield. They're both right out on the ropes. this is lofted down the field, and one run is taken. And just a brief hiatus because I need to check why the hopefully that's better. Yes, we've plugged the power in. The socket had managed to just drop out of the plug had managed to drop out of the socket slightly, and I was slightly panicked that the power might disappear. But we're now plugged in, so we're good to continue as Phil ends his spell 4 for 23, and Alex Towers comes back at the other trademark kind of as he prepares to bowl. Ed plays it out to wide mid on, fielded by Marcus Kipling for a single, bringing Rob Crisp on strike. So Alex Towers has bowled very well. 2.1 overs for 13 so far. He'll presumably bowl this over, the 18th and the 20th, and we'll see who bowls the remaining over from this end. Lofted slightly towards Marcus Kipling at wide mid on, but bounced safely short of him, and 1 run to Rob. So Alex round the wicket to Ed. Oh, thumped really hard, straight at Dave Daniels. So if he'd caught it, it would have been a no bounce catch from B1 fielder, but it was hit really, really hard and bounced off him, and he couldn't quite get his arms out to catch it as it then rebounded back towards the batter and to safety from a Somerset point of view. And now this is lofted high over the bowler's head. Fantastic chase by Marcus Kipling, but Ed is keen to make that into 3, and I think that's the first 3 of the innings, as that was a fantastic chase by Marcus Kipling to prevent that being a boundary. Ed moves on to 79 from 61. Rob is on 55 from 48, and he also plays pretty straight over the bowler's head, a little bit more offside perhaps this time, and Marcus Kipling can't catch up with it. Boundary for Rob. So we reach the last ball of the 18th over, and the score is 165 without loss. Alex now coming over the wicket. I don't know if this is a ploy to try and phase the batters, changing coming over and round. But anyway, over the wicket, just outside off stump, gets his fingers to one back at him. Goalkeeper diving goalkeeper style, can't hang on to it though. Goes past him, has to be tidied up by Marcus Kipling, and they're back for 2 to end the 18th over with the score on 167 for 0. Meanwhile, in the other game, Metro have reached 147 for 2 off 17, with Matt Dean currently on 95. A couple of overs to go, and I think it is Mark 1. Yes, I can see the red tail of the towel. So Mark Bond to bowl then the 19th over, and I'm sure it will then be Alex Towers to complete his allocation from the far end. A little bit more blue sky again now. Wind still sort of gusty. Depends which trees you look at. Some seem to move much more easily, perhaps, than others. But a fair amount of breeze around outside. The players' clothing definitely buffeted by it now. Ed reverses down to third man off that first ball. It's fielded by Matt Greenhoff, and Ed is able to get back for 2, but he definitely set up to reverse that through third man from the first ball of this Mark Bond over. And now gets himself ready to face the next one. Reverses along the floor this time, and much squarer. Matt Greenhoff has got it. Ed's turned and has run back quickly and is able to complete a second. So at the moment, deliberately setting himself up to reverse into the offside. Now reaches for one and slaps it offside. Dan Field's got it. He's racing back. Dan decides to throw for the bowler, but throw not quite accurate enough, and Rob Crisp's able to get back, and it's another 2. So 3 2s so far from the 19th. As Mark Bond comes in, Ed again reverses. That's straight to Dan Field, though, 1 bounce, and he throws in, and so this time there's just the 1 run. But tidier over this one from Mark so far. No extras. Just moving the field a little with Mark Oliphant being positioned square leg. Rob settles over his bat. Ball comes in offside, lofted towards cover. Oh, 2 hands on it from Dan Field. Can't hang on to the catch. Throws it into the bowler's end, but Ed had run hard, and 2 runs scored. And the last ball now of the 19th. Mark Bond to bowl. Just outside off stump. Little waft on it, maybe from Rob. Simon Ledwith can't hang on for a catch. And they're through for a single. I think Simon's a bit disappointed with himself. Sort of punched the ball a little in upset. 177 for naught from 19, and on the other pitch, 164 for 2 from 18. Matt Dean has reached 101. For those of you who might not be following both games are being live scored on Play Cricket, as Alex Towers stands with that feet wide apart pose, crouches with the ball in both hands, ready to deliver from over the wicket to Rob Crisp for this final over of the Somerset innings. Comes in, bowls. It's lofted by Rob through extra cover. That, I think, is perhaps going to reach the boundary. No, it's not. Mark Bond pulls it in. Callum Ware helps him to tidy up. And it's the second 3 of the day, though. 3 now for Rob. And Alex Towers now coming round the wicket to Ed Osman. Very high. Ed did get something on it, but it's a no ball, and therefore a free hit. Ball is back with the bowler. He's staying round the wicket. And appears now from behind the umpire and the non-striker. and hit firmly by Ed into the onside, and Dan Field's there to field at mid-wicket, square leg, and 1 run scored. So no real damage from the no ball, and staying round the wicket to Rob is Alex Towers. Rob lofts it to mid-off. Callum's sprinting round trying to kind of drag it in, can't do so. It's boundary 4 to Rob. And Rob's strike rate has now gone above Ed's. He's got 71 from 54. Ed has got 87 from 67. Ed has got 10 boundaries. Rob's got 7. And Alex has got 3 balls left to bowl in this innings. And Steve Bond has a message in. Let's go, Rupert. I'm not quite. Robert, maybe. Or maybe Robert's nickname is Rupert. Anyway, he's just played that to mid-on. It's fielded by Callum Weir, and they've come through for 2. 188 with 2 balls left in the innings. And the bowler now back over the wicket. Outside off stump, out towards point. Mark Bonds are after it. They're not going to get 2 there. So it will be Ed Hossel to face the last ball. He's scored 87. Rob Crisp has scored 74. There've been 23 wides and 5 no balls. And Alex Towers is just about to complete his bowling allocation. It's a high no ball, played with a tennis ball type flat batted shot by Ed out to mid off, where it's fielded by Callum Weir. And with that, it means that we've got a free hit delivery then to end the innings. And Ed plays it almost straight to Mark Bonds, can't hang on to the catch. Ed has sprinted back for 2. Rob Crisp's wondering about a third. There was never going to be a third there. That's the end of the innings. Somerset have posted 194. So Sussex will need 195 to win. And meanwhile, in the other game, Metro 182 for 2 off 19. So they have a very similar score on the other pitch. But for this game on pitch 1, then Somerset against Sussex. Somerset 194. Ed Hossel 91 from 69 deliveries. Rob Crisp 74 from 56. The bowling, Phil Daniels 4 overs for 23. Alex Towers 4 overs for 40. Dave Daniels 4 overs for 31. Marcus Kipling 4 overs for 37. Mark Bond 2 overs for 23. There were also 23 wides and 6 no balls in the innings, no other extras. Big round of applause from the people sitting just outside the pavilion as the Somerset batters come in, and there'll be a few minutes between the innings, and so we'll just see if we can kind of pop back and just double check on progress from the other game. Matt Dean's now on 118 with 13 fours. Mo Galib's got 25, and we are through. Let's have a look on that game. Yes, we are through eight. That's the end of 18. 182 for 2. Sorry, that's the end of 19 over 182 for 2. So 1 over left in that game. So likely to be a pretty similar score. Asif Ali has bowled the 19th over. We look at the scorecard for that game. So Nick Ebeck scored 13 from 15. Andy Law scored 12 from 16. Nick was out caught. Asif Ali bowled Connor Jeffs. Andy Law was out caught. Hassan Ali bowled Adam Solon. Those wickets fell at 41 and then 111. And the bowling there. Gav Griffiths bowled 2 overs for 18. Gav retired last year, has come back, it seems, to play just this one game for Northants. Adam Solon, 4 overs for 32. Those were their 6 total overs. Connor Jeffs, 4 overs, 1 for 40. Asif Ali, 4 overs for 33. Adam Solon was the other bowler who picked up a wicket. Bilal has bowled 2. Hassan Ali has bowled 3. I suspect one of those will be bowling the final over. Just watching that on Play Cricket, not on PCS Pro, so I haven't got same. I'm not looking at the same scorers information as from the Sussex Somerset game. Just what everybody has got available to them online. So when that pops and refreshes at 20, we'll bring you the final score from that game. But anyway, here it's Sussex needing 195 from 20 overs to get themselves to another final in this 15th edition of the Blind Cricket England and Wales T20 competition. It started life as the Bill Frindle Memorial in memory of the fantastic bearded wonder, the one who I think all scorers kind of look up to, certainly of an age group like mine. We remember him from Test Match Special and the voice of cricket and the numbers of cricket. It was renamed after England and Metro totally blind cricketer David Townley in 2015. So it then became the DT T20, and that was when it had a kind of couple of years when the competition was played at North London Cricket Club in 2014 and 2015. 2014 was the first time that Somerset had won the competition. They've now won it 3 times. Sussex have won it 4 times. Northants here today have won it once. They beat Somerset in 2021. Somerset then beat them in 2022. Sussex won it last year against Lancashire. Metro have never won. They lost to Sussex in 2019, and they were runners-up to Warwickshire Bears in the second year of the competition in 2010. If those of you who are counting well will think there's a year missing. Well, there will be a year missing because no blind cricket at all was played in 2020 due to the pandemic. So that was a missed year. No blind cricket at all of any sort in 2020. But yes, we are here in 2024 where I said earlier in talking about 1, 2, 3 or 123 that how Sussex got here, beating Kent and then Berkshire Stags. So Somerset only had to play the one game to get to final day, as they got a bye in the first round, and were then limited to just 101 for 5 by Lancashire in the quarter-final, but managed to get home by 16 runs, as Rob Crisp took 4 for 24 and Ed Hossel 3 for 11. So they'll be looking for that that sort of stellar bowling performance from those two as they go out to try and defend 194 in a few moments' time. The Somerset players are on the pitch, warming themselves up, and Callum Weir has bat in hand. I don't know whether that's because he's got a bat or because he's going to run for Dave Daniels, who may well open for Sussex. We'll have to kind of see. And let's just kind of check what's happening in the other game, because it presumably must have finished, because I can now see Mo Galib of Metro in front of me. Very odd. Refresh, and Play Cricket still wants to say 182 for 2. Perhaps it's not over, but Mo's just been dismissed in the final over and has come across to see his friends from Metro and Somerset. Yes, Play Cricket still just giving 19 overs for that game, as I think the whole Somerset side, just about the whole Somerset side now out on the pitch, I think, and getting themselves ready to bowl and defend this total. As Catherine Jelf-White has just come back to the benches to gather something. There are nine fielders out, so that means there must be well, there must be one more to come, because Somerset will be playing with 11. I mean, they have a squad of 14 for final day. Players available, or not suffering from injuries as much as other teams, perhaps. Metro named 12. I think we're unable to bring 11. And well, there are more players wandering around as I look over to my right. I think that the game on the other pitch must have ended. Let's see if Play Cricket has updated to 20 overs. It has updated. Oh, and a flurry of wickets at the end of that game then. So 187 for 5. So a pretty exciting last over then from Hassan Ali. Matt Dean out, caught by David Howell's first ball. It snuck an extra one off a wide to Justin Hollingsworth, but Rob McKenzie was something very odd has happened there. Can't have been bowling to McKenzie, because it must have been Hollingsworth and so something funny has kind of happened anyway. Mike Shea got 4 off the last ball after couple of dots. So 187 in the other game, 194 in this game, and yes, it is going to be Callum Weir running for Dave Daniels, who will be opening alongside Mark Bond in the way that Sussex have set up to kind of play just about every game this season. They're making their way out to the middle, and Somerset are gathered halfway between the boundary and the square in team ring, briefing and getting ready for their bowling and fielding effort to see if they can defend the score of 194 that they've put on the board here. Bright sunshine seeming to kind of it's the brightest it's been just now, and Somerset ending their team talk with a round of applause, getting ready to go out and start their fielding effort. As I say, sun seems to be at its brightest that it's been all day. That wind, which has been gusting, well, for the moment, it's just died down a little. So I don't know whether that means that best of the weather conditions are starting to happen now as Somerset come out to bat. Although, yes, we do have some umpires walking out now. Neil Robson and Fiona Schoen now walking out to the middle as teams set themselves up, and it looks as if Somerset will also be opening the bowling from this pavilion end of the ground, and Dave Daniels will be taking strike to the first ball. Steve Cook is at short cover. Adrian Snellgrove is at short point. David Ridgway is at short square leg. Those are the 3 Somerset total fielders. Alan Maybe is behind the stumps, and it's Rory Hossel who has walked down with his bowling marker at this end, set that down at the end of his 4 or 5 pace run, as other Somerset fielders at short square, shiny maybe. Matt Davidson is at mid wicket. No, he's just running in short, because it's total on strike. And Mikey Contreras moving in closer at mid-on. Catherine Jelfs White is at third man. Rob Crisp is at deeper point, and Ed Hossel is at extra cover. And we start with a wide. So Roy will have to fold that one again. And better one comes off the bat, bobbles away into the offside. Rob Crisp is into field, and there's no run. Rory at the end of his run, it's about 5 paces. Dave sets himself up ready. In 2 bounces up in the air. Alan maybe jogs across into the leg side to field, and no run. Alan is a low-sighted player, so going to have difficulty trying to kind of get a catch if it goes in the air, and there's a bit of a swap around in the field. Shani maybe coming to where Ed Hossel was, and Ed going in at short square leg. So if there's another one of those high loopy ones, maybe a chance for catch for him. Beats Dave outside the leg stump this time, Rory, and through to Alan, and no run. Rory in the game just outside Dave's leg stump, can't get any bat on it, through to Alan, and it's another dot. Encouragement from Sussex fielders as Rory comes in, and Dave does get plenty on that out into the leg side. Matt Davidson fields behind Ed Hossel, throws in, and they've run one, which is 2 scored. Again, any of you listening who don't know, one of the key differences in blind cricket is that totally blind batters off the bat, they score their runs doubled. So they run 1, scores 2. If it's boundary, that's 8 runs, or 12 if it hasn't touched the ground before it crosses the rope. So Rory in to bowl first ball to Mark Bond. Mark Bond plays that out almost directly to the kind of square leg umpire. Shiny maybe runs into field, and that is 1 run, and just the 1 run. So that's 4 without loss. And Mark Bond now is 13 short of 2,000 career runs. He started this match 14 short of 2,000 career runs. He's kept the strike, so Dave Daniels standing with Fiona Shone at point. Umpire standing at point rather than square leg. From this end, it's Mikey Contreras who's got ball in hand. Field is fairly similar to the last over. Shiny's at point, Catherine Jobs-White at third man, Rob Crisp is fine leg, Matt Davidson's square leg, as this is lofted by Mark Bond, and it's lofted straight to Matt Davidson at square leg. So Mark Bond's progress towards 2,000 career runs sluggish. Some of us thought he might well get there at the 30 over cup final a few weeks ago, but was out first ball. Well, it's not first ball this time, it's second ball, swinging hard, lofting it into the leg side and being caught. So first wicket on this pitch today brings Simon Ledwith out on strike. Mark Bond will stay out to run for him. Simon is a low partial player, so has a runner. And as you know, if you've been listening, when I was between innings and testing 1, 2, 3, obviously that is still 123, still Mark Bond's England average, and but not the score that Simon Ledwith would want to remain as being the number of runs scored in this competition since last being dismissed. He'd be hoping to add to that. Fiona Schoen just directing Mark Bond to run on a strip on the opposite side of the ground from where she's standing with Dave Daniels. So he's running on the a pitch on the leg side. Mikey lifts the ball high in his right hand to check the field, all ready for the delivery. Field set's pretty much the same for Simon as it was for Mark Bond. Mikey comes in from that far end and hits David Ridgway on the head, which brings the ball in a bit and enables Alan maybe to gather. Field has changed round a little because it's now Rory Hossel at square leg. Oh, and Matt Davidson's gone to mid-on for Simon. This is outside the off stump. Simon leaves it alone, goes through to the keeper, and there's no run. Mikey coming in off about 3 paces over the wicket from that far end of the ground. Again, lofts the ball high to show that he's ready to bowl. Sort of shuffles in really rather than running particularly. Simon gets something on that. It's very fine towards third man. Alan chased after it. Catherine Giles-White ran up to the stumps to kind of receive the throw in. It's gathered in. They've scored 1. And so Dave Daniels now to face Mikey for the first time. And he's potentially got 3 balls to face in this over. And again, Mikey lofts his hand. And Dave Daniels ready to face the ball. Nice loud shout of play. Dave scoots it round the corner. It's Rob Crisp comes in and fields, but well run by Mark Bond to take the single. 1 run, 2 scored, and to bring Simon Ledwith back onto strike. So yes, quite a lot of blue appears in the sky now, and the wind seems to have disappeared. So maybe easier for bowling than it was when Sussex were bowling. Simon gets hold of this, plays it to mid-on. Matt Davidson's across quickly to Fields, throws in and hits the stumps directly. Once that's happened in this form of the game, as the stumps are moulded without bails, does mean that you kind of can't then try and take any more runs. I don't think he was necessarily deliberately trying to ensure that he hit the stumps. It was more just that the throw was so accurate it did. Anyway, Mikey now then to bowl to Dave Daniels again. Comes in. Bowls, swing and a miss outside the off stump. Alan maybe drops to his knees to field the ball, gather it in. That's the end of the over. It's 9 for 1 off 2. Simon has 2. Dave Daniels has 4. There are 2 wides. And an early bowling change is this from Somerset. So just 1 over for Rory. And it now looks as if Somerset are going to introduce totally blind bowler from the pavilion end here. It's Steve Cook, who has ball in hand for Somerset. Steve Cook has matching Adrian Snellgrove as bowling success for Somerset this year. Both of them have got 6 wickets. Steve's got a best of 2 for 31. Playing for Somerset for quite a long time. His first ball, Ezerdo, is dispatched over cover by Simon Ledwith for a boundary 4. That was a fantastically strong shot from Simon. And there's now a little bit of discussion about who goes where in the field. Ed directing Shani and Mikey, who are out on that offside. Catherine Jelfs-White coming down to mid-on. Bob Crisp is at fine leg. Matt Davidson is at mid-wicket. Rory Hossell's at square leg. Simon looking to try and kind of get hold of that one and chase it round on the leg side. Doesn't manage to catch up with it, but didn't matter too much because it was a wide. So there's an extra taken and the ball to be re-bowled anyway. And the ball is now back with Steve Cook, who again is someone who bowls from a standing position, tends to sort of push the ball out of the hand rather than bowling. Sort of push throw, but any action is legal for a totally blind player. That was driven more towards extra, fielded by Ed, and just 1 run, and Ed now signalling for the field to come in with the totally blind Dave Daniels on strike. Although, of course, if Dave manages to get one over the close field, that gives Sussex better chance of running a few more and doubling them up because it's Dave on strike. It's outside off stump. Dave just manages to kind of reach it. Doesn't really manage to get the ball anywhere at all though, and it's tidied up by Alan Maybe behind the stumps. Ball back with Steve, and right arm over, but as I say, it's bent elbow and sort of the ball pushed out, and this is hit high in the air by Dave. Rory Hossell runs towards it on the leg side, where it bounces sort of 2/3 of the way down the pitch. Can't catch it. They've scampered through for 1 run, 2 scored, and so Simon Ledwith is on strike. Crouches as field sets itself. The runners satisfy themselves that they're ready. Steve bowls. Simon tries to give it an almighty clobber. It just comes back down the pitch on the onside. Catherine Jelfs-White runs in to field, and that's 1 scored with 1 left in this over. And Dave Daniels now on strike for this last ball. Big loud shout that I can hear from Alan Maybe of keeper, keeper, keeper to help the totally blind player line up. Bounces down, big swing from Dave, who misses. Ball goes through to Alan, and that is 18 for 1 off 3 for Sussex. So you can all work out that's a run rate of 6. The required rate is now up to just over 10. It won't be a worry for Sussex. I think they'll be content that with Dan Field to come in next. They could always up the rate if necessary. No bowling change at the far end. It's going to be Mikey Contreras to continue from that end. It'd be interesting to see how many overs he does get to bowl, the likelihood is that Somerset will bowl their Ed and Rob will so very wide, almost hit Steve Cook. They're very likely to bowl their top two bowlers if this year. Ed Hossel and Rob Crisp will probably both bowl their full four. Rory Hossel, who hasn't taken as many wickets this year, but has 70 wickets for Somerset in his career, will probably also bowl his four. So it's maybe the end of Mikey after this over, as Simon plays one to wide mid on, fielded by Matt Davidson, and 1 run has been scored. Simon jogs out to Fiona at point. Callum Weir helps Dave into his position as the striker here in front of us at the pavilion end. Bit more breeze in those trees at the far end as Mikey comes in. I think that shuffling run. Dave Daniels gets something on it. Wicketkeeper kind of dives, catches it, but on one bounce, low partials. Well, anybody can catch on one bounce. If you're a totally blind player in this form of the game, it's out if you catch it on one bounce, but only for the totally blind, not those with low sight. And that's well struck out into the covers by Dave. It's got almost to the boundary before it's fetched in by Ed Hossel, who chased hard after it. And they've run 2 for 4 scored. Mikey then shuffles in past Neil Robson, bowls, and beats Dave Daniels outside the off stump, but that ball a little bit too long, I think. No ball being signalled. I think second bounce wasn't quite before the popping crease. So for a totally blind batter, the ball has to bounce twice before reaching the popping crease. That's to give them the best chance of being able to hear the ball coming. And Dave does hear this one coming, tucks it round the corner on the leg side to a very square, fine leg. Rob Crisp in wide-brimmed cricket hat. He throws it in. 1 run, 2 scored from the free hit, and Simon Ledwith back on strike to Michael, and up to the wicket, bowls very wide, signalled wide as the wicketkeeper kind of comes to gather. I think before it's even reached the popping crease, possibly the batter wasn't interested in trying to chase it or anything. And Mikey, arm aloft, comes in. Nice shout of play, lofted by Simon. It's over Ed Hossel. He manages to gather it in though before it crosses the boundary, throws it into Mikey, and that was a good shot through mid off from Simon, fetched him 2 runs, and it's brought us to the last ball of the 4th over. So shouts have come on Mikey from the Somerset bench, probably led by Martin Hallett. As this is driven to shiny maybe in the covers, thrown in. Mikey didn't gather it. Rory Hossel tied it up behind him. It's 1 run. It's 31 for 1 off 4. And both batters are on 12. And we've had 5 wides and a no ball. And Steve Cook to continue from this end. As we'll just see if the game on the other pitch has got started. 188 from 20 needed by Northants, and they've scored 38 for 0 off 5. Steve Cook bowling to Simon Ledwith. But I can see what it's got on the screen as Simon plays that out to mid-off. Mikey Fields can't gather it in cleanly, though. Runs away from him a little, and he's able to kind of throw into where Catherine helps Steve to gather the ball at the stumps. So, Steve Cook to continue, and Simon on strike. Pulled into the leg side, bounces by the umpire. Rory Hossel runs into field, throws it down to where both Catherine and Mikey had come in to help Steve Cook field the ball. It's 1 run, and it puts Dave Daniels back on strike with 4 balls left in this second over from Steve. We'll have to see how many how Somerset's set up their total overs. Adrian will usually bowl as well. Dave has a swing round to kind of try and get that. Oh, maybe he did. Maybe he did get something on that. He also managed to knock stumps over, but totally blind players can't be out hit wicket. So he did get something on it. It's 1 run, 2 scored. Simon now looks leg side, but picks out Rob Crisp at fine leg. Throws in comfortably. 1 run scored, but no second run possible down there. Umpires signalling that there's 2 to come, which the scorer absolutely agrees with. And Dave Daniels then. Totally blind bowler, totally blind batter. Steve Cook, couple of bounces. Fantastic shot from Dave Daniels. Yes, he's hammered that away at square leg for a boundary 8. And applause from the Sussex bench as that leaps the run rate up to 9.3 and drops the required rate to 9.9. So yes, no need to panic as to whether you're scoring fast enough if you can score 8 off 1 ball. This one, though, a little bit too long. No ball and a free hit. Second bounce just not quite short enough. And then this time pushed a little bit wider by Steve. And got the length right, but just a little bit wide. A big shout from the wicketkeeper to allow him to line himself up. Length's okay. Dave has a big swing, can't get anything on it, and so the over ends with a dot, and the score is 47 for 1 off 5. And Steve's 2 overs have gone for 25. Michael's have gone for 18. Discussion now between Ed and Rob. down at the far end of the ground. My suspicion is that that may be a bowling change, and that Mike is 2 overs, 1 for 18. Might be his bowling, possibly his bowling done for today, as Rob Crisp is coming on from the far end to bowl off of probably about eight paces, so reasonably long run up. Mark Bonds with Simon Ledwith just helping him to kind of know where the fielders are. Dave Ridgway has come to Adrian Snellgrove, sorry, has come to slip. David Ridgway is short mid-wicket. Steve Cook's at short point as Rob comes in over the wicket. Simon latches onto it, and an equally stylish pull through square leg for a boundary 4. So matching Dave Daniels, and that's the 50 up for Sussex in 5.1 overs. And Simon has got 20 of those. Dave Daniels has got 22. The score 51 for 1. And the run rate now above the required run rate. Rob in, bowls. Simon plays that out to mid-wicket. It's Matt Davidson who comes from mid-on to field. 1 run scored, and Dave Daniels then to face his first ball from Rob Crisp. And sets himself ready as Rob's still coming in off the long run, despite the fact that needs to make sure that there's 2 bounces to it. There are 2 bounces to it. It comes off the bat, goes through to the wicketkeeper for a dot. Field in fairly close for Dave, so he hasn't managed to spread them with that boundary 8 yet. As Rob begins his run up, comes past the umpire, Neil Robson at that end. Slightly uppish, bounces. Steve Cook is trying to get hold of it, and sort of got an arm to it. Couldn't take a catch though. He's now just getting back to his feet. Applause from Somerset fielders and from his skipper Ed Hossell, who kind of came in to help tidy it up when he couldn't hang on to that. And Rob's now bowling again, and another good shot from Dave out to very wide mid-on, fielded by Matt Davidson, thrown in, and they got themselves back for 2 runs or 4 scored, and that's the 50 partnership. 52 off 30 balls, and we've got 1 left in the 6th over. Rob Crisp comes in, bowls out to square leg, and fielded by Rory Hossell, thrown to Rob Crisp, and Dave Daniels has been run out off that last ball of the over. There was an appeal for something. I don't know whether people thought that might have been leg before wicket, but anyway, the ball went into the leg side, fielded by Rory Hossell, thrown to Rob Crisp, who broke the stumps, and Callum Weir, Dave Daniels run out of his ground. It's 56 for 2 off of 6 overs, and Dan Field has gone out to join Simon Ledwith in the middle, and this is the partnership that could certainly win the game for Sussex, as these two have this season both scored over 500 runs. Danfield scored 584, Simon scored 574, and Dan has a best of 220 not out in this competition, and he's now asking the umpire for his guard as the opposing skipper brings himself on with Dan Field on strike. So whether Steve Cook might have got another over if the wicket hadn't fallen, I don't know. But anyway, it's going to be Ed Hossell bowling to Dan Field. Ed coming in off of 5 or 6 paces from this end, past the umpire, bowls. Dan drives out square on the offside. Rob Crisp chases out from cover to that point position to gather the ball in, and it's 2 runs to Dan Field off his first ball. And welcome to the Ryan Down. Good to have you along with us for commentary as Dan Field plays this one just to the other side of Rob Crisp, who chases it, throws it into his skipper. Was much closer to him this time though, so his run was much shorter, and it's 1 run scored. So Dan off the mark with a 2 and a 1 from his first 2 balls, and Simon Ledwith to face his first ball from Ed Hossell. It comes in. Simon prods down on one, stabs it this time straight to Rob Crisp at cover. So ball definitely following Rob Crisp this over so far. He's fielded all 3 of the deliveries, and here's the 4th, and no, this is a little straighter on the offside. Bounces a couple of times and then is fielded by the bowler off his own bowling. He's bowling again to Simon. They didn't take a run there. Upish. Can Rob Crisp get to it? Sliding on his knees, he can. He was at cover. He moved towards point as Simon sliced that up into the air, and Simon Ledwith goes for 21, caught by Rob Crisp, and that is now 59 for 3 Sussex, and Callum Weir is coming out as Mark Bond walks in with Simon Ledwith. So it's Callum who'll be facing the last ball of Ed's first over. 59 for 3 as we have got this 1 ball left in the 7th over. Ed just directing the fielders as we've now got a left-hand, right-hand batting combination. Callum Weir, Sussex, high partial, left-handed batter. Adrian Snellgrove at slip Steve Cook on the leg side for the left-hander. David Ridgway at short cover. Shani at point, Matt Davidson at cover, Mikey at mid-off. Big swing to one that's just down the leg side. Alan maybe dives to take the ball. That's the end of the over. So 59 for 3 from 7, and that Ed Hossel over 1 for 3. And we'll just see if we can check in for you. It's 56 for 2 from 7 for Northants. So again, matching closely. They've only lost 2 wickets, and they've got a slightly lower total to chase down. So are the chasing sides going to be victorious? Again, nice sunshine seeming to dapple across the grounds now, as Rob Crisp stands at the far end of his run, ready to come in and bowl to Danfield, who taps his bat on the ground in anticipation. Rob comes in. Dan drives, it goes just back with a point, fielded by Shani Maybe, who throws it into Alan behind the stumps, and that's 1 run. Little discussion as Ed Hossel adjusts the field. Yes, of course, because it's the left-hand, right-hand kind of combination. So Shani across to stay at sort of backward point. Rory Hossel now in front of us, in front of the pavilion at short square leg for Callum Weir, as Rob comes in, bowls. It's little bit leg side, not far enough leg side to be a wide, and Alan maybe gathers the ball in, and it's a dot. So Rob trudges back to his mark, and there behind Danfield, who walks in as Rob runs in. Callum plays this into the leg side. 2 Hossels both converge on the ball near Fiona Shone. It's Ed who wins the race this time, gathers the ball, throws it back to Rob. Callum crouches ready to receive the ball. This time he beats the fielders in he beats Rory, but it goes straight to Mikey Contreras at just back with a square leg, and 2/3 of the way back to the boundary. It's 1 run, and so Danfield, with 2 balls left in the 8th over, is on strike. Run rate is just under 11. The required rate is just under 11. The run rate is actually 8 at the moment. So, not a problem for someone like Dan, who can score quickly. But this one beats him, and Alan maybe dives to Hibs left to gather the ball in, throws it back to Rob, who'd come 3/4 of the way down the pitch to gather it, and is now walking back past the stumps, past the umpire, down to the end of his mark to come in and complete the bowling of the 8th over. And we will then need to have either the 9th or 10th over will need to be bowled by a totally blind player, as Matt Davidson tidies up from square leg as Danfield just gently taps it into the leg side with a straight bat to score 1. 62 for 3 off 8 is the score, and it's going to be is this Ed's or Rory? Let me check. I always have to kind of look carefully. I think this is Rory coming back. for his second. No, it's not. It is Ed to continue. It's Ed to bowl a second over from this end, which means we will need to have a totally blind player bowling the 10th over from the far end to get 3 in 10. We've had 2 in 8 so far from Steve Cook. Ed comes in, bowls, and firmly struck, very firmly struck by Danfield out towards the boundary. But Matt Davidson only had to move 2 or 3 yards to his left and was able to prevent the ball crossing the ropes. Now encourages everybody to come in for the perhaps slight Callum, who's slightly less able to hit the ball as powerfully as Dan. It bowls to him. It's round the corner to square leg, fielded by Catherine. The throw back evades Allen maybe, and so with that overthrow, they are able to take a single as the ball goes to Shani. So Dan able to get the strike back, and Ed in, and Dan plays this to Rob Crisp at cover, throws in, Callum home for the single, tied it up by Shani maybe, throws the ball back to Ed. Who is coming round the wicket to Callum, beats him outside the off stump. Sprawling Allen maybe gathers the ball in, and there's no run. Ball is back with Ed quickly, and Callum crouches over to receive as Ed comes past Fiona Shone. Callum does get that away pretty well. He's beaten the field. He's going to reach the ropes. Yes, it's just forward a square on the leg side between Rob Crisp and Catherine Jelfs-White, and it's boundary 4 for Callum, who moves to 6 from 7. Danfield is on 7 from 7. We've got 1 ball left in this 9th over. And next over will have to be rolled by a totally blind player, as I said a moment or 2 ago. Ed's in, Callum tucks that wide mid on. Rory Field hustles in, grabs the ball, and there's no run. So just looking to see who's going to be bowling this next over. Both all the totally blind bowlers, all totally blind players seem to be moving down this end. One of them must surely know that they have to bowl the 10th, because Steve's just bowled the 2, and captain's coming across to have a word with him, and Steve Cook is getting a change of ends. He's bowling from the far end, and perhaps it's the case that Steve's going to bowl 4 overs, and I would then think that it would be Adrian Snellgrove who will bowl the remaining 2 overs required from totally blind players in the Somerset bowling. So 126 more needed to win from 9 overs, and we have Danfield on strike to Steve Cook. And just checking where the fielders are. So it's fine leg is Catherine Jelfs-White, square leg is Rob Crisp, Matt Davidson is at mid wicket. Ed Hossel is at long on, wide mid off is Rory Hossel, point is Mikey Contreras, and third man is Shani maybe, and big wind up from Dan for one outside the leg stump. Hits it though straight to Catherine Jelfs-White, so just one as the ball comes back to Alan Maybe, and it's Callum Weir on strike to Steve Cook. And that sunshine that was here a moment or two ago has perhaps disappeared a little. Some blue still in the sky, but not that much. We're just hoping that we do manage to evade the showers that are forecast for much of the country today here at Wolverhampton, and get in four full games of cricket. Being a fantastic way to end the BCEW summer. And anyway, here comes Steve Cook to bowl to Callum Weir. Outside off stump, lofted by Callum, and Rob Crisp can't reach that. It's a boundary 4 through the covers. A really nice strike from Callum, who is now 10 from 9 and with a better strike rate at the moment than Dan Field. So good from Callum, as Dan helps with returning the ball to Steve Cook. And Loopy lofted behind the stumps to where it's fielded by Shani, and two runs taken, 3 runs taken, as shy up the stumps missed, and they were then able to come through for a third. Fielder's gone down at the far end. Not quite sure who that is. Is that Rory Hossel who's gone down in a heap? I think it might be. I'm just looking to. No, it's not Rory. It must be Matt Davidson then, I think, who's Matt Davidson. No, it's actually Ed Hossel who's kind of gone down, and a bit of attention with Dan Field crouching over him, having dropped his bat. He's stretching himself up. Hopefully he's going to be okay. And Dan gets his gloves on, comes back down to continue batting. And on the other pitch, Northants have reached 84 for 2 off of 10. So that game kind of slightly ahead of this one in terms of getting through. And we're actually taking a drink at this game now, although we haven't quite finished the 10th. I think that injury and a little break in play has encouraged the umpires to just call drinks a ball or two early, maybe, but so it's 77 for 3. There are 3 balls left in the 10th over. Dan Field is on 8 from 8. Callum Weir is on 13 from 10. Simon Ledward scored 21. Dave Daniels scored 26. Mark Bond just the 1. And there are 8 extras in this game. Meanwhile, in that other game, Bilal Akhtar's on 14. Asif Ali is on 19. The wickets to fall. David Howells caught Justin Hollingsworth bowled, Alan Turnbull and Mark Turnham run out. There's been 2 overs from Mo Galeb, 1 from Mike Shea, 2 from Justin Hollingsworth, 2 from Gareth Jones, 2 from Alan Turnbull, and 1 from Andy Law. So in that game, it's 104 needed from 10, and in this game, it's 118 needed from 10.3. So yes, very evenly matched games happening here today. But we do hope Ed Hossel hasn't done himself any kind of serious injury. He's named as captain of the England Ashes squad. The next VI cricket that will be of interest to people in the UK, because this is the end of the season today. So after this, it's the Blind Ashes in Australia. This is 8 years after the last time they were played in Australia. Didn't manage to happen in 2020, COVID and all that. Not been possible to get them on again before this year. So the Gold Coast and format is 3 ODIs and 5 T20s, and I think all games counting towards the Ashes, whereas previously when the sides have played, it's been 5 ODIs for the Ashes, and not always played T20s. They have played some T20s, but that's always been a slightly separate competition, whereas this time the Ashes involves all the games. Well, but all that said, the drinks are complete. Steve Cook is back, ready with the ball at the far end. Danfield is crouched over the bat, and it's 118 to win from 10.3. It's wideish on the offside. Chases it a little and gets it out fairly square. Shani maybe comes in from square third man to field, and this 1 run scored. Callum Weir on strike, so the field changing round for the left-right combination. That will possibly slow the progress of this game a bit, and that's a very well pitched up delivery from Steve to Callum. Just a little bit too wide, straight into the arms of Adrian Snellgrove at slip rather than going to the wicketkeeper. But very good length to a batter who can have a delivery on the full. This time he's played it out square. Mikey Contreras has got it on the boundary. There's a throw in, but it's not a strong enough throw in to prevent Callum coming back for a second. So the ball is now back with Steve, who's ready to bowl the last ball of the 10th over. Was looking wide. Callum managed to get it from outside leg stump and kind of flick it wildly somewhere behind, fielded by Catherine Jels. They complete 2 runs. It's 83 for 3 off 10, 112 needed off the second 10. And we would think that those 10 overs probably be bowled 3 from Rory Hossel, 2 from Rob Crisp, 2 from Ed Hossel, and 3 from Totally Blind Bowlers, probably 1 from Steve Cook and 2 from Adrian Snellgrove. So it is a change from the pavilion end. Ed Hossel is coming off. He's being replaced by Rory for his second over from this pavilion end. So bowling to Dan, outside off stump. Dan plays it to mid off. It's fielded by Ed, who, well, is he looking slightly sore as he kind of walks back to his fielding position? I'm not sure, but anyway, managed to field that quite competently enough, and it's just 1 to Dan. So Rory now in. Bowls very full, but you can bowl very full to Callum, high partial, so that ball bounced round and about the stumps and was fine. Gathered in by Alan, maybe behind the stumps, and Rory already back and running in. Another full ball, pretty straight this time as well, and sort of scuffed down by Callum for another dot. Rory again quickly back to his mark, comes in. Callum gets hold of this one, swings it away wide mid-on. Ed chases, and it's gone over the boundary. Couldn't quite stop it going. So boundary 4 to Callum. Moves on to 21 off 15. He's got 3 boundaries downfield yet to find a boundary. Callum taps his bat as he waits for the bowler to come in. Drives this one into the offside. It goes over Mikey. It's fielded by Matt Davidson, chasing back, and they're through for 2. That was driven to wide mid-off, and it was Matt Davidson chasing round from extra cover who fielded the ball. This one is just outside leg stump, missed by Callum, taken by the keeper. That's the end of the over. It's 90 for 3 from 11. And 105 needed off 9. Rob Crisp has the ball under his arm at the far end, so may well be that he's going to bowl the next over to continue his spell from that far end of the ground. 2 overs so far from 12. Rob. It's downfield facing. As Rob comes in, left arm over. Beats batter, wicket keeper. Shani maybe chases down to gather the ball in, throws it back towards the stumps. Rob Crisp has kind of come down to help Adrian Snellgrove tidy up. It's 2 to the total. Oh, maybe Dad did just get a feather on that because it's gone down as runs. Perhaps that's how he steered it past the keeper. It looked as if he'd been he's definitely got hold of this. He's whacked it out to square leg for his first boundary. Matt Davidson was pretty close to it, but couldn't stop it going past him for a boundary 4. So Dan now perhaps starting to find his range, and that was a well struck opening boundary from the Sussex skipper, who moves on to 14 from 12. Rob Crisp is in, and this is lifted much higher by Dan, and Ed jogs in to gather it just in front of the square leg. Umpire was safe. It was high, but there was no fielder anywhere near it. It's one run to Dan, and correction. It was 2 byes off that first ball of the over, and not 2 runs to Dan. This one beats Callum, but not the wicketkeeper. So a dot ball as Sussex near the 100. They're 97 for 3 as we approach the end of the 12th over. And Rob Crisp runs in from the far end. Ball of play. Beaten outside the leg side with one that's too wide, and signalled as such. And maybe well to get across and gather that in. Rob bounces the ball on the ground as he reaches the end of his mark, turns, and comes in as the bit more sunshine again comes across the ground. And, well, I don't know, huge appeal for... Oh, it's been given. The batters set off for a run. The umpire had a good bit of a think about that and gave him LBW. So 4 wickets down now, 98 for 4, and it's Mark Oliphant in at 6 for Sussex. In blind crickets, you have to have a totally blind batter in the first 3. You have to have 2 in the first 6. You don't have to have a third or a low partial batter in the first 9. Simon Ledwith is a low partial, so Sussex have played the low partial, so they can now, when the next wicket falls, they can bat just partials all the way through to 10, but have to bring in a totally blind batter at 6. So Mark Oliphant has come in to replace Callum Weir, who scored 23 off 19 balls with three boundaries. Strike rate just under that of Si Ledwith and ahead of where Dan Field is at the moment. But we've seen that Dan's just starting to kind of find his range, and he's a very destructive batsman. So I think Sussex, no need to panic, provided Dan's still out there chasing this down, should still be quite well within their grasp. They are the current National League Division 1 champions. There's sort of another kind of semi-appeal of some kind as Mark Oliphant's hit on the legs by that first ball that he receives from Rob, but I'm sure that was going down leg side. There was no real interest, and certainly no interest at all from the umpire. So end of the over. So 98 for 4 off 12, 97 needed then off the final 8, as Adrian Snellgrove comes on to have a bowl from the pavilion end, and 115 for 2 off 12 is the score on the other pitch, as Bilal and Asif push on to see if they can get Northants into the final ahead of Metro. And Metro look to be bowling out their totals in that game. They bowled 5 total overs, so they've just got 1 left as Dan reaches for 1, smashes it out into the covers where it's fielded by Rory, and he's not interested in taking a single. So with Mark possibly being not that confident that Mark would score, they I think want to keep Dan on strike, so he's probably not going to take many ones unless it's the end of the over. And well, he's just been handed a 1 there by the bowler, delivering it wide anyway. So the next score of whatever kind will now bring up the Sussex 100. And it's a 6. As Dan rocks back, swivels, and pulls it over square leg for 6. And what a way to bring up the Sussex 100 in the 13th over. And Dan now 21 from 15. And in 1 ball, his strike rate has gone to the best of any of the Sussex batters. And as I said, no need to panic about the run rate when you can get 8 off 1 ball or 6 off 1 ball. Somerset now got 3 fielders all deep on the leg side boundary. Dan plays this one to square leg. Rob Crisp runs into field, and he has just taken 1 now. Decided he was going to have 1. And the umpire's coming together for some reason. I'm not quite sure what that can be. It's not rain or anything like that, because the clouds keep drifting around a bit. It's perhaps a bit grayer overhead than it has been. There's little bits of kind of blue, and it's no breezier than it has been. But anyway, we've now once again got totally blind bowler to totally blind batter with Adrian Snellgrove bowling to Mark Oliphant, who chases 1 down the leg side, but can't catch up with it. Goes through to Alan Maybe behind the stumps, and no run is scored. Big shout of keeper, keeper, keeper to allow the bowler to line themselves up. It's straightish. Mark Oliphant kind of helps it round with glove as much as bat, I think, into the short square, fielded by Rob Crisp, and quickly back to Adrian Snellgrove, who rather more of a bowling action than Steve Cook, and he gets a straight 1. And so Mark Oliphant is out bowled by Adrian Snellgrove, and Mark Bond, Cy Ledwith run out to help him off the pitch, and then to have a word with Dan Field and Marcus Kipling, who's gone out to bat at 7. So 106 for 5 from 13 overs. So 7 overs to get 89. And on the other pitch, 121 for 2 from 13. Bilal's on 22. Asif is on 38. And it's just one B1 over left to be bowled on that pitch. There's two B1 overs left to be bowled on this, but they only need 67 from 7 over there. So Northampton chase going better than the Sussex chase, but it could be the chasing sides as we've already got this Mikey Contreras over underway with a 2 for Dan. And so Mikey in again, all that high but dipping. Hammered away by Dan to mid-off. It is gathered in by Rory Hossel, but he can't stop them taking 2. Brings Dan up to 26. Ball back with Mikey, who comes in and bowls again, another dipping one, and Dan manages to then lift it back over the wicketkeeper's head, very straight to a super fine third man, and all Shani maybe can do is gather the ball from in front of us outside the pavilion here and throw it back in. 4 for Dan. Mikey at his mark at the far end, arm comes aloft, comes in and bowls again, another loopy one, and this one is outside leg stump. Dan sort of danced around, looked to hit it, in the end left it alone and signalled wide. Mikey walks back to his mark, turns around, comes in and bowls. Again, similar sort of shot. This time Shani's a bit deeper and is able to get across and gather, throws the ball in, but they've comfortably got through for 2. They really only jogged through those 2. Ball back to Mikey, and big shout from the field to get him ready. Shout of play, and again very wide outside the off stump. Left alone by Dan Field. Not interested in chasing that at all. Alex Towers, just in front of us here, is warming himself up. Perhaps he's the next man in should a wicket fall. Loopy slapped offside, and Catherine Jelfs-White at point is beaten by the bounce. She takes the ball over her head and then with one more bounce over the boundary. So Dan has now got 3 boundaries in his 36, and his acceleration has started. So 73 made it off 6 overs in a ball, so just under 12 or around 12 and over. As Mikey comes in, bowls, and Dan again gets it very fine down to third man. Shiny Fields, 1 run is scored, and So the required rate now exactly 12.72 needed off 6, and 2 of those 6 will need to be bowled by totally blind bowlers, and it looks as if Adrian Snellgrove has got the ball in his hand for a second over from this pavilion end. Well, 1 for 8 from his last over. If he could get another wicket, then that would be potentially place Somerset in a very strong position. If you could get the wicket at downfield, it would certainly place them in a fairly strong position for the end of the game. But we'll see. Is his first ball far too leg side and signalled wide. Bobbled out into the offside. Alan maybe has had to kind of chase it. Marcus Kipling saves Mikey Contreras the task of having to kind of come in and help the bowler to gather the ball by handing it to him. And we're ready for the second attempt to start the over. And that is swung round by Dan. It's another 6. It went 45 degrees on the leg side. Split the fielders down there. Catherine, who's at fine leg, and Rob, who's at deep backward square. We've also got Matt Davidson and Ed Hossel deep on the leg side for Dan, and Rory on the offside. Again, very wide. Dan looks to play the same sort of shot. This time finds Catherine, and it's 1 run. Could possibly have left the that for a wide. It looked fairly wide from here, but not looking straight down the pitch. So it's a bit of a guess, really. And anyway, it's the umpires who make these decisions, not anybody else. Anyway, Adrian, ball in hand now. As big shout of keeper comes in, and same sort of shot from Marcus Kipling round to 45. It didn't go very far though, and actually Rob Crisp, who'd come in off the boundary, chased it down and grabbed it before it reached Catherine. It's Ed who's run in from the boundary to give the ball to Adrian after that delivery. And downfield, well, he could go to 50 this ball. He's got 44 off 24. That's definitely a wide though. Only just evaded David Ridgway. And Mikey Contreras, as the ball gets thrown past Adrian, has to come in this time and help him gather the ball. Fiona Schoen, the umpire, helps him to find the stumps. Spins the ball around in his hands, looking to kind of get the grip, hand on the stumps to line himself up, and bowls, and it's another wide. Though well gathered by the wicket keeper. Meanwhile, on the other pitch, 134 for 3 from 15, and Asif Ali has been dismissed and replaced by Hassan Ali. Ball now with Adrian. Straighter, high up in the air, high. Rob, juggle. I think that was 1, 2, 3. 3 goes at a juggle, and he's completed the catch. There's huge applause from the boundary in front of me. Downfield is swishing the air with his that, Adrian Snellgrove has got a second wicket. He's got 2 for 19, so he has conceded a few more in this over than in his first one. But with that wicket, the balance now tipped a little. And well, although he was limbering up and stretching out, it's not Alex Towers who's gone in next, it's Matt Greenhoff who's gone in. I'm not quite sure what's happening. The batters did cross, but of course these days that doesn't make any difference. So umpires I think should be returning the batters so that Matt Greenhoff is on. Yes, the batters are now changing positions. So Marcus Kipling had ended up at that far end, but new batter on strike at the fill of a wicket. So Adrian will be bowling to the left-handed Matt Greenhoff. So another left-right batting combination, which means there's a switch around in the field. Rob Crisp comes over onto the Rob Crisp and Catherine Joss White come over onto the left-handers leg side, as is Rory Hossell. Ed Hossell is at extra cover. Matt Davidson's at point. Charlie Maybe is at third man. Big wind up from Matt Greenhoff, then can't get anything on it. Ball bobbles past him down the leg side, taken by the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. We've got 1 ball left in the 15th. There's then 5 overs to come, one of which must come from either Adrian Snellgrove or Steve Cook. Plenty of choice as to who bowls the rest. That is straight to Steve Cook, standing at slip. So there's another chance for Matt Greenhoff to score some runs as Adrian Snellgrove prepares to try again and complete the 15th over. And outside off stump, it is played out to point. Matt Davidson runs in from deep point to field. They're through for a single. So Matt Greenhoff off the mark. He's got 1 from 2. Marcus Kipling has got 1 from 1. It's 136 for 6. There are 59 needed to win off 5. And Dan Field and Tiny Morris from Sussex on the boundary having a little conversation. Sussex are the current holders of this trophy. Is it slipping away from their grasp? This year they have won the National Division 1 League title. They won the 2023 Primary Club Cup final as an LBW shout from Rory, and it's given. Matt Greenhoff is given out. LBW to Rory Hossell. There's more applause from the Somerset supporters out here in front of me, and it's Phil Daniels who takes the bat to go out next for Sussex as they are 7 down. So Phil Daniels then in at 9, and left in the shed just then Alex Towers and Ian Morris as Somerset attempt to put the squeeze on here. Rory bowling his first over from that far end of the pitch, his 3rd over. He's now got 1 for 11 off 2 overs and 1 ball. And it's Phil Daniels to face his first ball. There's another appeal, but it's going nowhere. The ball's run out onto the leg side, fielded by Catherine Jells-White. And one more to the total. 137 for 7 for Sussex, chasing 195 needed to win. So Rory comes in, bowls. And it's another wicket. It's another wicket. It was lofted to mid-on. Matt Davidson has taken the catch. And that's the end of Marcus Kipling. He's just scored 1. It's 137 for 8. Alex Towers is going out to bat. Lot of noise from the Somerset bench, and well, they must feel certainly they're in with a sniff of getting into another T20 Cup final, having been in the finals twice since COVID. They lost to Northants in 2021, beat Northants in 2022, and are they now going to be playing Northants or Metro in 2024? Rory bowls just outside off stump and dot ball. So this has been a kind of very good over. Just the 1 run, but 2 wickets so far and 2 balls left in this, the 16th over. Alex Towers on strike. Yes, I was going to say that looked a bit long, and it's been called as a no ball. So free hit for Alex Towers as the rate, perhaps for the first time, has climbed to 13, and that's a huge no ball. That's a horrible no ball from Rory. So clearly still a free hit. That one was right round Alex Towers' ears. I'm sure there's no need to try and soften up a number 10 batsman. That's more like it. Clipped away wide of mid-on, thrown in. What are they doing? They were trying to get a second. There was never a second there. And Alex had come herring down and was never then going to get back. And he's run out. They're 9 down. They are 9 down. There's still 4 overs and a ball left as Ian Morris goes out with Mark Bond as his runner. And 140 for 9 because they had completed the 1 run. The run out was as they tried to get a second. A second wasn't desperate as Matt Davidson threw it in for Rob Crisp to have a really easy run out opportunity. And anyway, so Phil Daniels to face his second ball and the last ball of the 16th. He just defends it to short cover, picked up by Rob Crisp. 140 for 9 off 16, 55 needed to win off 4 overs. The required rate up to 13.8, and on the other pitch, 143 for 5 off 17. So 45 needed off 3 on the other pitch. Bilal Akhtar is still there on 30. Gerald Porter has just come to the crease. He's scored 1. And this game, Ed Hossel bringing himself on from the pavilion end to bowl to Ian Morris. Ian batting at 11 for Sussex, and 55 needed off 4 overs. Ian dwarfing the stumps and the bat. The swing goes down behind his legs at a dot ball, and so Ed and Rory could both bowl out. They will need, as that goes through to Alan maybe, to find an over, or they will have to have an over from Steve Cook or Adrian Snellgrove, but they might look to bowl partials and save that to the end, see if they can wrap the innings up as Ed fires down 3 dots and the required rate climbs towards 16 runs and over. And so it looks as if it might be a Somerset Metro final, but that's a fantastic shot from Tiny. He's really got hold of that, hammered it through extra cover. Ed's had to run off after the ball for himself, and yes, Phil Daniels, I think, is carrying a little bit of an injury, so not able to sprint through, and so it's just 1 run, 2 scored, and Phil Daniels has the potential to face the last 2 balls of this over from Ed Hossel. Will he try and get back on strike? Well, he has a big swing. There's an appeal from people who kind of can't possibly see whether that's anywhere in line, or even know whether it's come off his hands or his thigh like Rob Chris, but cover, and balls quickly back with Ed, who comes in, bowls. Phil steers it just backward a square. Catherine comes into field. 1 run scored. Phil will keep the strike with 3 overs remaining. 143 for 9, 52 needed off 3. So the required rate just climbing to 17 now. And in the other game, it's 147 for 6. So 41 needed off 2. Bilal is out. Kia is now in. And it looks as if it could be Mo Galib and Justine Hollingsworth bowling out for Metro. So Metro, it seems set to win, and it seems likely that it's Somerset set to win. It's not Rory. Well, you bowl an over 2 for 2 when you get taken off. It's Rob Crisp coming on from the far end, and this will be him to bowl out as he bowls to Phil Daniels. I think a bit of bottom edge before that got onto the legs. Peel for LBW, but not out. So Rob will be the first bowler to be known to have completed his spell, as this is his 4th over. This is played out into the covers by Phil, fielded by Rory. No runs scored. And yes, it must be Somerset surely now. The rate over 20. Beaten outside the leg stump, through to the wicketkeeper. Dot ball, so 3 dots in a row from Rob. And Phil Daniels carrying a little bit of a niggling injury, we understand. Crouching. Rob comes in past the umpire. Bowls. It's wide outside the off stump. Revoke, no ball. So was given wide originally, turned into a no ball, so that's a free hit. important that the umpire did that. No ball for length, I think, and but that's a great delivery for a free hit. Well pitched up. Phil took a decent swing at it, missed, went through to the wicketkeeper. Dot ball. 2 deliveries left from Rob Crisp from that far end as he nears the end of his bowling spell. And yes, I agree, AC, you can't keep Rob or Rupert or whatever his name is out of the game. That's wider outside off stump though, and signalled as such by the umpire. I think no danger of this being converted to a no ball, so just a wide. And so we've still got 2 balls left in this over. Score is 145 for 9. Remember, Sussex posted 194. Dave does get some bat on this, plays it down to short fine leg and gets through for a single. So he may have the strike for the next over, who knows. Tyler Morris is to face the last ball of Rob's spell and comes in from where he's been standing with the umpire at square leg. And the Somerset field all seem to kind of encroach on him. Catherine's stayed out a little bit. Mikey Contreras is slightly deep on the offside, but there's a whole load of fielders sort of surrounding him. And big swing outside the off stump. Umpire has a good look, decides it's a perfectly legal delivery. It's a dot ball. It's 146 for 9 off 18. Rob has finished his spell, 4 overs, 1 for 21. And as well, of course, he's got that till he's helped with that run out. It's 49 needed off 2 overs as Adrian Snellgrove is handed the ball for a 3rd over, which of course will be his last. 152 for 7 off 19 in the other game. So Metro heading into the final and Somerset heading into the final. And yes, we just won't know who it is. But Steve Cook's probably bowled 3 overs for 39. I shouldn't think he'll bowl the last over. It will be it'll probably be Ed or Rory. It could be Mikey. But anyway, for now, it's Adrian Snellgrove bowling to Phil Daniels, who tries to whack one outside the leg stump, gets very little on it, goes to short square leg, fielded by Rob Crisp. Well, might have got a wide for that. The ball's thrown back to the bowler, who kind of is following it out. He has got his foot on it now. Mikey eventually kind of in to help him, and he's walking back purposefully now towards the stumps. Slows up a little as he gets near, and he's safely back and on to line himself up. And ball lofted, big shout of keeper to help him line up. Ball comes down. That is well struck through mid-on by Phil Daniels. Is that going to beat? No, it's not going to beat Matt Davidson. He's very quick. The throw's sort of halfway. Phil has got back for 2. Mark Bond was looking for 3. It had come almost all the way to the boundary here, but Phil not capable of the speed needed to run 3. Anyway, close to 150 for Sussex now, 148 for 9. Nice bouncy one. Phil slaps it. It just beats Catherine Jelfs-White and goes over the boundary at backward square leg for a 4. And that's a nice way to bring up the 150. So we had 100 for Sussex brought up with a fantastic 6. 150s come up with a 4. It's 152 for 9. So that's a nice milestone. It's a good boundary, but with 43 needed off 9 balls. Well, if you keep getting wides, you might get there, of course, but the cloud cover just perhaps back to what it was at the beginning of the day. The sun seems to have disappeared. Maybe there's a little bit of a chill in the air. Perhaps if we're going to get a thunderstorm, it'll happen during the lunch break, as Mikey can't quite stop the ball, although he sprawls down and stays down for the throw, which goes nowhere from Matt Davidson. They're kind of inquiring about whether there are more runs, despite, Rory Hossel threw it nowhere. Thought it was Matt. It's surprising that Rory managed to get a muddle with the throw. Anyway, they've taken 2. Of course, 2s are no good when the rate's up at 28 and over, because all it's done is push it even higher up. Well played by the kind of keeper who saw Phil lining up that one as it came leg side and got himself into a position to block and mean that that's a dot ball. So 1 ball left in the 19th over. 155 for 9 are Sussex as this one comes in. And again, it's lifted high into the leg side. Matt Davidson's after it, gets a hand on it, can't hold on. Catherine Jels-White tied it up by throwing it into Rob Crisp. It's 1 run to Phil Daniels off the last ball of the 19th. He will be on strike for the last over. 159 for 6 as Adrian Snellgrove finishes with 3 overs, 2 for 31. Steve Cook bowled 3 overs for 39. And that is Rory Hossel, who's going to bowl out from the far end. So he's bowled 3 overs, 2 for 15. Ed Hossel has bowled 3 overs, 1 for 13. And Michael Contreras, 3 overs, 1 for 35. Little discussion between Rory and Mark Bond at the far end of the pitch as we enter into the last rights of this game. Phil Daniels scuffs it square on the leg side, fielded by Alan Maybe, and Tony Morris strides in from square leg to face the rest of the over. Mark Bond calls him in, little word, and then walks back out to where he's running on the strip to the leg side of the right-handed striker. And Roy is ready at the end of his mark. Tiny aloft, drops it into his guard position, faces, hits him on the leg. There's a arm raise, a sort of an appeal from Rory, not really any serious interest. Dot ball. Look, all you need is a dot ball from for now, and this one bounces past him, taken by Alan Maybe. Another dot ball. 3 balls to come as Somerset look like they're going to be facing Metro in the final. And a no ball. I think too many bounces, too short, too many bounces to Tiny. It was definitely bobbling right on the floor by the time it reached him. So a free hit for Mr. Morris with 3 balls to go. His bat's aloft. He has a swing, goes through to the wicketkeeper. That's a dot. The umpires agree there's 2 to come. Rory has the ball in his hand. He's got 2 balls left. Ian moves outside the leg stump, gets, I think, hit on the leg. They've, oh, and his runner doesn't get down. I think it's run out. So the end of the innings, 158. So Somerset win by 36. Rory finishes with 3.5 overs, 2 for 17, and on the other pitch, 158 for 8 is what Northants have scored. So it will be Somerset against Metro after lunch. We will look forward to seeing you then. We're going to end this stream now because I'd like some lunch, and look forward to seeing you this afternoon.